Welcome to the final week of my 3-week trip in Hong Kong. Now that all the restrictions have lifted, I got to visit home and pretend I'm still a local while showing my kids around as full-on tourists. I'll link the other 2 videos in the description below. In last week's video, we ended with our date night / staycation at the Conrad, where we enjoyed delicious food and finally got our first uninterrupted night of sleep since like a year ago. It was glorious. We had the baby dropped off by Dad because he wakes up really early anyway, and this way it's a little easier for my parents to get the other 2 kids ready. With our 3rd wheel in tow, we headed down to breakfast. The breakfast buffet had so many options. A made-to-order noodle bar with really good choices and toppings. The only thing I'd say is that the broth could be better. They had pastries, dim sum, congee, fruits, eggs, yogurts, other more traditionally Western breakfast items, and of course, coffee and tea. The space felt really open and airy and full of natural light, and you also get a little glimpse of the pool and the city view. Service was attentive, and with this being complimentary, I really have no complaints. And then for lunch, we met up with the rest of the family, just kind of downstairs in Pacific Place at a northern Chinese cuisine restaurant. They have Peking duck, which I guess my best explanation is it's almost like a taco where you like put the duck into a wrapper thing. It's really good. I usually also like their noodles and their soup dumplings, but I feel like on this day it was a little off. When Hong Kong was just opening back up, it was really hard to hire staff, and a lot of the service workers were new, and we noticed this in restaurants, at Disneyland, pretty much everywhere. So hopefully by the time you go, everything is back to A+ as they should be. After lunch, we got some cupcakes for the girls. Ookie Cookie had so many cute options, it was hard to settle on one thing. But eventually they each picked a cupcake. We walked through Shangri-La and we cut through it to get to Hong Kong Park, which was above Pacific Place. Hong Kong Park is a pretty big park within the city, kind of surrounded with skyscrapers. Inside the park, there's an aviary, which unfortunately was closed when we visited, and it's going to remain under renovation till the end of 2023. There's a little fountain right at the entrance. It has a lot of greenery, obviously, and also some traditional buildings that got preserved within the park. We found a quiet spot to sit down to enjoy the cupcakes. And then we walked around to enjoy the different Chinese New Year decorations that they've put up. In the middle of the park is this pond with all sorts of different plants and fish. It's a pretty calming green space within the city. In lieu of the big aviary, they have a little section with a few birds on display, which was fine, but this is nothing compared to what the aviary normally is. The next day, we went to IFC in Central. We wanted to try ramen at konjiki something, I don't want to butcher it, which previously had 1 Michelin star. The special thing about their menu is their ramen broth made from both pork and hamaguri clams. We tried a few different items and everything was really tasty. Even the kids approved. After lunch, we walked to the Hong Kong Observation Wheel and the AIA Vitality Park. The park had Chinese New Year carnival games when we went, and we got tickets to try the merry-go-round, bumper cars, and other carnival games. It was definitely on the pricier side for what's offered, but we all had fun. I know the park also has some free events and all sorts of seasonal things like rosé on the lawn with drinks and lawn games and Easter events coming up, so check their website. The observation wheel 100% feels touristy, but I suppose technically my kids are tourists. From here, we get an aerial view of the harbor and both the Kowloon Peninsula and the Hong Kong Island. As far as views go, in last week's video, I shared where you can see the skyline from Tsim Sha Tsui, and that was spacious and time unlimited and free. The observation wheel kind of just pales in comparison to me as a previous local, but my kids loved it. We ended the night with dinner at home and this delicious little chocolate fondue set from Haagen dasz. There are two main areas once you get to the Peak. The Peak Tower, which is newer and kind of more touristy, and the Peak Galleria, which also has food and shops and parking, but clearly they need better search engine optimization because even I had a hard time finding it when I was blanking on the name. We had lunch at Fiamma, which is an Italian restaurant on the Peak Galleria side. Really good food and ambiance, and kid-friendly. We then went up to the Sky Terrace, which is the top part of the Peak Tower, despite my objections. You can get tickets to go up there to get a view of the Hong Kong skyline and harbor and the Kowloon side, which is a really nice view. I've just been there way too many times, and the kids didn't really care about the views anyway. If you're kind of stingy like me, a completely free alternative is this paved trail around the peak. It's a really easy loop, mostly flat. It takes about an hour if you walk pretty leisurely, and you can get a very similar view at the Lugard Road lookout for free. And I just love a good nature trail tucked in the city. We didn't do this particular trail this time, but I would love to take my kids here the next time we come back. We then played at some arcade games and enjoy this faux grass patio. This was seriously the most fun the kids have had all day, just crawling around on a patch of grass. I love it. Dad dropped us off here earlier, and for the way back, we decided to take the Peak tram. These trams got updated at some point during the COVID years, and so now they feature this panoramic view with windows all around. It's a pretty steep ride and overall a worthwhile experience. The tram ends near Admiralty/Hong Kong Park area, so we once again cut through the park to get to the MTR to meet up with Dad and get some pho for dinner. Repulse Bay is a beach area, and the Pulse is the mall/restaurant complex nearby. We went to a Japanese grill, and we got various grill items as well as sushi and noodles. It was pretty good, but also on the expensive side. I've also noticed that the more expensive restaurants here generally are well equipped with quality high chairs and kid dinnerwares. It is so much more common for young kids to eat out with family on a regular basis compared to the US. On to the main attraction, the beach. We honestly had only planned to walk around and take in the ocean breeze, smell the salt in the air, and listen to the crashing waves, but you know how plans go with kids. They wanted to go into the water, and they have super supportive grandparents, and so we have these kids in the water in winter without appropriate swim gear. Was it a mess? Yes, but sometimes these impromptu adventures are also the most fun. We grabbed some coffee at Coffee Academics to warm up, and then we went home. For dinner, we had takeout Chinese barbecue and desserts. Tonight was also New Year's Eve on the lunar calendar, and so we prepped the red envelopes that are to be handed out during New Year's. It's Chinese New Year. I'm sure every family has different traditions, but usually we have the kids go say their well wishes with parents and grandparents first thing in the morning, and the elders would bless them with their wishes and also the red packets. Mom also wanted to send a festive photo through text to her friends, so I kind of helped her style it. New Year's from a kid's perspective is always a great time. You get money in pretty envelopes, and there are fun outfits, and there are these candy trays at every house. They're meant for visiting guests, but most kids end up eating extra candy throughout the day, regardless if they're hosting or visiting. If you've made it to this point in the video, please give this a thumbs up to appease the YouTube algorithm gods. It really makes a tremendous difference, so thank you for your support. We marked the official start to the new year at a Chinese restaurant with my grandma, the matriarch of the family. The nice thing about this kind of Chinese restaurant is that it's usually full of chatter anyway, so a few more loud children aren't even really going to draw anyone's attention. The rest of the day and the next day involved a lot of people coming and visiting with our family, exchanging red packets, and hanging out. So I didn't really record any of this and just got to enjoy the conversation and family time after being gone for a few years. For the third day of New Year's, traditionally, you don't go visiting family because the superstition is that you are more prone to have arguments that day. So we had a chill morning visiting McDonald's for breakfast. After that, we went on the tram to get to Causeway Bay. The trams are a really affordable and kind of classic way to get around Hong Kong Island. You also get a fun view sitting on the upper deck. The girls met a friend on the tram. It was super cute to watch a few kids have a conversation transcending language. Since we're in Causeway Bay, I needed to satisfy my egg tart craving at Lucky Star. We went here last week and they were just so good. We then went to Muji to pick up some basic home organization stuff. It's always a fun place to walk through and get ideas. The next day, we went to get our COVID tests for re-entering the US, which I don't think is a thing anymore. So yay for whoever you are in the future watching this. And then we went to City Plaza for some errands. We saw these robots at Oliver's Super Sandwiches. They help deliver trays and return them when people are done. The girls really wanted to interact with the little guy. It was so cute. The last errand there was to pick up an ice cream cake from Haagen for an early birthday celebration. I love that this was solidly, entirely ice cream, unlike some other ice cream cakes that have a bit of regular cake, but then the regular cake is never that good. This was perfection. Today is the last full day here. Traditionally, we would wait till the 15th day to open all the red packets, but since we're leaving soon, we figured we would count the money sooner so that we can convert back to US dollars. We went to Classified for lunch. Really good salad, pastas, sandwiches, and coffee, of course. We spent the afternoon packing up, and then we headed out for dinner at Crystal Jade. They've got multiple locations, and they serve hand-pulled Chinese noodles and other Peking and Shanghai and Sichuan dishes. We got some soup dumplings and dandan noodles and wonton and chili oil. It really satisfied our food cravings, and we all felt this was like the missing piece in terms of cuisines in this whole trip. One thing about restaurants here, everything is by QR code, which is sometimes kind of annoying when you're trying to order food but their website takes a while to load, or in my case, my phone was always low on battery. After our tasty meal, it was time to say goodbye. We head to the airport and we get checked in for our flight home. It's been such a lovely trip, just getting to see the city again after a few years away and sharing a little piece of my childhood with my kids. If you have any additional suggestions for fellow travelers watching this video or for us, leave them in the comments below. I'm already planning another trip to visit here again next winter, and I will keep you posted when I do. I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!